Now.
Oh, now
we're not standing on our heads
for you. We think we're
Holy
upright.
moly.
Oh.
Technical difficulties.
I know.
I just said, if anything is ever going to go wrong with that stuff, it's going to be with me.
Well, or me, because as a teacher, every time you need technology, it doesn't work.
This is what it's not even if I need it that it
Yeah.
doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
We're so happy to be back with you. We're happy to have Miss Liz back from her trip. And remember, we kind of teased you with a special guest this week, so we're so excited. We have Mr. Ken here with us today, and this is Liz's sweet husband. And I've kind of created a monster, sort of, just a wee little bit, but not on my own. I just encouraged it. I just really encouraged.
It's nice to get encouragement on things when you're,
yeah. So we're turning him into an expert on our fun little featherweights.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So he's collecting them now for his wife and family members.
Yeah.
And he's done
The
a lot
list
of
is getting
research.
longer.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
as soon as you tell people I
need
play
one.
with featherweight. Oh, I need 2 or 3 of those.
Because one is never enough.
Never.
No.
Never enough.
Never.
So we're so happy to have you join us. We're happy to all be back in
Yes.
the store again. So I am going to turn the time over now a little bit, and I would like Ken to tell you what he really does besides being an amazing husband, father, all the good stuff. Please.
Right. And I was on Village Vibes last week because in Sturgis. I poked my head in, so that was even another sneak.
Yeah.
So I actually am a high school auto shop teacher, and so. But I'm married to a quilter, and so...
And the son of a quilter.
And the son of a quilter.
And the son-in-law
of a quilter.
There's just no hope then, buddy.
The nephew of a quilter. There's
the list is long.
It gets long. And so anyway, and it hasn't been that long. Liz, about a year ago, said, I'd really... Well, she went to Missouri Star. And she went through their museum, and she's like, I would really like to have... one of those featherweights, and I'd like a white one, but they're so expensive. And so
So he got one for me for our anniversary.
I got one for our anniversary.
Which our anniversary was yesterday, it was exactly a year ago.
Tomorrow, so happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Yes. There you go. So it's been a year pretty much exactly that I bought the first machine. And I bought the first machine, and I got it home, and I took it all apart because it had some issues. Because I bought it cheaper because it had issues, but that's what I do. I do mechanical stuff, and I was like, this machine is cool. And then I bought another one. And I also like to thrift, so I go to thrift stores and I go to antique stores when I ride and things like that. And so I start seeing machines, and I bought some of the wrong machine because I thought they were featherweights, but they weren't. But
they trick you.
Well, yeah, they're like, oh, this is a Singer featherweight sewing machine, but it's like a 99 and it weighs 1,000 pounds.
Yes, it does. Yes, they do.
And so it's not
or
a
66 or a 15
66 or a 15 and so anyway, I picked up a few random machines and I did a few things, and then I started like focusing in on featherweights.
Oops.
And then now I've bought.
How many do you think we have now?
I counted this morning. We have 20.
Good job. I'm proud.
In one year.
In a year.
So proud.
Yeah.
I am so proud of you.
But then I took your class, which we're going to have a class coming up.
Yes, we'll do another.
And that was awesome. I learned like 1,000 things in that class. And so that was kind of the goal. Yeah,
well, and YouTube has been a good teacher.
Oh, yeah. Watch lots of YouTube. The Featherweight
so
Shop
much.
on Facebook.
Oh, is amazing.
Big
shout out to them.
Yep.
Carmen does an amazing job. He has schoolhouse tutorials on his site, and such a nice gentleman. I've actually talked to them on the phone before, and they are amazing people. I wish they were a little closer, but
Where are they based out of?
They're way the heck up in Idaho in, I've forgotten the name of the town. I've forgotten the name of the town. I apologize.
Oh.
It's a little bit of ways. But Carmen also, did you know that he, speaking of Missouri Quilt, he also goes there and teaches.
Oh, yeah.
And he does cruises that they go, and
featherweight.
Featherweight
all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little niche culture that I didn't know even existed a year ago.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cult. He was kind of wanting to say Kooskia. Is
Where
that its
is
name?
Kooskia?
It's clear up. I think it's clear up by the border. I mean, I think
Closer to Canada?
Closer to Canada. Yeah, I think it's quite a ways up there. It's pretty
Liz
far
is
up.
looking.
Liz is doing some investigating for us, guys.
I want to know where it's at.
Yeah, it's
'cause I think
out in the middle of nowhere, I've been told, and but such a nice family. So it's a small family-owned business. They've been in business for several years, and he's just an amazing resource. They sell featherweight parts there, originals, and you know, sometimes when you lose or you buy a machine without a bobbin case in it, that's a real tricky part, because those machines are machined just for that specifically, and you can get your replacements, but they're not quite as good, so your stitch is never quite as well. They have actually started making their own featherweight bobbin cases that are as close as you are ever going to get. That's awesome. I have customers that have bought them and said, yay, shout out, because they're good. Yeah. Yay, finally. Yes.
Yes. There's some Chinese knockoff ones.
Yeah, don't do those.
They're not as
No,
good.
don't do those. Don't do, your machine will not like you.
The Chineseium is too much.
Yeah, it's true. It is correct. So tell us what you found out about these amazing machines, sir.
A lot of it. So I actually read this book.
Is amazing.
We'll link this book
for
you.
The third edition by Nancy Johnson Scribo. Anyway, so I read through that when I first got the book, because I was like, well, I need to learn about these things, and I thought this would be more of a manual, and it's not. It's the history, and it talks about how to look up your date, and so you can figure out what year it was, which these things were made from 33 to 69 in varying models and years. There's like 3 million, 3 to 3.5 million, which
floating around out there. But I wonder how many of those have ended up in landfills and are still out in somebody's garage or barn or parted out.
Grandma's attic.
Or grandma's attic,
And so, but there's still a lot of these things out
there. It would be really interesting. So, comments.
Yeah.
If you own a featherweight, we would love to hear about that.
Yeah.
And if it was this grandma's machine, I have so many people that come in and say, look at my little machine, I just got this from grandma, or my great aunt just gave me this. So much great history. So let us know if you have one.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I think there's a lot of people who don't know what it is. And so it ends up.
Yeah, I think I fell into that category, which, I mean, I'm really into cars, motorcycles, not necessarily sewing machines, but
now
once you get into it, it's a little weird, because there's a huge group of following, and like Erin from the store, she sews all her stuff like a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, she was on, and she's like, I sew all my stuff, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. We have a lady that actually comes to the store, Miss Pat, who makes the By Annie bags. Now those bags, if you they're pretty darn thick. Because they have the soft and stable in them, several layers. They've got webbing, zippers,
vinyl, and all sorts of stuff.
And she sews everything in class on her featherweight, and it does an amazing job.
That's awesome.
Well, I was telling Ken, I think the featherweights kind of were like a perfect combination between a really good motor. They're light.
They're compact.
They were easy compared to treadle machines. They were just such a huge upgrade.
What? Don't you want to bring your treadle machine to your next class?
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
it made it more social, right? Well, you didn't have to be in your back laundry room, which my grandma always sewed in her laundry room. I don't know if everyone always did that, but forever. Oh, Erin's here, and she raised her hand.
Erin.
Pam Davis says loved hers. So, Erin, how many do you have? And Pam, how many do you have? Do you have just one? Because it is kind of an addiction.
It's addiction. It is kind of an addiction. Because there's so many different models, which we're going to talk about in a minute here. There's lots of different options. There's a lot because they made them for a long time.
They did. From 33, the last ones they made were in 1969.
Right. That's a long
36
production.
years. And they didn't just make one or two each time.
Right.
They made like tens of thousands.
Right.
So you can actually search, and we'll show you how to do that. But you can search for what year yours was manufactured, And how many were done that time period?
Well,
a lot
of
them. And where? Yes.
They were done.
Yes, they were done in lots of different places. So yeah, so we'll show you some of those things as well. But yeah, once you get started, you just need one of everything.
Yeah.
At least
kind
one
of,
per year, one per make, one per model,
Right.
one per color.
Well, and I want one that's original black and one that's now fancy painted. Like you gotta go.
have
Erin's got 2 black and a white one.
Go,
and
girl.
Pam says she's got one, and it was made in the 30s sometime.
Nice.
So
we'll tell you how to figure out what 30s that was made in, Miss Pam. Yes, they're such amazing little machines. So like Ken said, they're very lightweight.
Right.
They only weigh, is it 11?
11
I think
pounds.
it's 11, the machine.
They're made of aluminum. The whole case and everything's aluminum, which is pretty awesome, especially the way they built it. So it's way awesome.
The case weighs probably about the same.
Yeah, the cases are heavier, but they're like solid wood.
Yeah, they are.
Usually
glued together with
horse glue, covered in a fabric and covered. Yeah, and they've got inserts and all. Anyway, so there's that, and then so but they're pretty. I mean, they're handy. I think they're a handy little machine.
They're very convenient to take to classes and retreats because they are so small. They don't take up much room, and you're not afraid of, I mean, they are pricey. Some of them can be even more pricey than the big computerized machines you buy nowadays. But there's not a lot of mechanics in them, which is makes it amazing.
They're not super simple, but they're simple enough, and they have the mechanics. And that's what actually brought me in, I was like, this is cool. Like, this has lots of gear things and has, you have to time it, and you don't have to time it if you don't mess with it. But if you mess with it, there's timing and there's which is very interesting.
And
tensions and
some fun.
I had to have help just threading because I don't sew really.
And they're threaded differently than most of our home sewing machines.
Right.
Like most of your home sewing machines, your needle is put in so that your eye is facing you. On a featherweight, your eye is going sideways,
and the flat.
The flat part goes out, so there, and your bobbin goes in your bobbin case differently than a regular sewing machine as well. So
so there's lots of little things that's got
tricks, but simple still.
But it's very simple, and I think that's the simplicity and the rigidity of them, or the ruggedness, made them. I mean, you can pick up a machine from 33.
Yes.
And if it was taken care of, it's going to be still as good as a machine today.
And here's the cool thing about one of those machines, if you can find an original one. I know, another plug for the Featherweight shop, if the motor's kind of running sluggishly, Carmen will rewind those motors for you. So sometimes the motors can even be saved from them. And if it's kind of gummed up and stuff, it can be cleaned out. And most of the time, even one that's been neglected for a little while can be brought back to life, which is so amazing.
Yeah. One of the ones I just bought, actually, the motor, and that was their thing. The motor won't start the thing. And a lot of times you do have to start it, so you'll have to kind of give it a little
jump start.
But what I found, and this is, I guess, a tip. You guys were doing tips.
Yes,
so
please,
if you take the belt off of it and you just run the motor, it doesn't hurt it to run it full speed, like all out, go, because it's got, this is technical, it's got some commutators, which is basically just a ring, and then it's got brushes, and if it doesn't get used, they can get corroded, and they have some nasty on them, and if you get it running, that thing will just go, and it'll clean it up itself, and then, you lubricate it. There's a way to lubricate it, and there's a way to clean it up, and then...
Not with oil, though.
Not with oils.
Never put oil in
No, you
your
don't
motor.
put oils in them. Yeah, and so... And actually, so after I got this book, and when I took Fran's class...
This is the most amazing book.
This is another book. So this is The Featherweight and I by David McCullen, and this is still available on Amazon, so I actually gave Liz the link, so she'll link it in the bottom, but this is a manual.
Yes.
So if you're working on the machines, or you need to work, this will tell you all the things. So like it tells you how to oil, it tells you how to thread, it tells you how to clean, it tells you what to use, not to use,
And did you notice that clear in the back, he's even going to help you paint this little baby if you want to do that. How to fill it if you've got chips.
If you have chips.
I know.
How to read decal, how to do, which you can still get all of that stuff again at the Featherweight shop.
Yes. And the Featherweight shop also. Now, David has passed.
Right.
And I can't get the books. I don't know if his wife.
I don't know who's doing it on Amazon, but
I don't know.
They're
but
available.
Thank you, Amazon, for still doing this. Also, the Featherweight Shop has an amazing book. I did not bring mine to show you.
And they have a series of videos. So if you're not necessarily a one to read a book, you want to go watch a video, they have tons of videos
on everything.
Yeah,
and they're free, you guys.
Yeah.
This Featherweight Shop, honestly, they are our best source for anything featherweight.
For sure.
Yeah, they do such an amazing job. So there's lots of
stuff.
great literature out there for you to not be afraid of it. And the class that Ken was talking about that we do here at the store, it's a maintenance class.
Right.
Do you know how sometimes you have to take your machine into the sewing machine repair shop and have these little ladies, maybe you call yours gentlemen. What do you call them?
No, they're ladies.
They're ladies. They are ladies because they're just sweet and little and they're just ladies. They're ladies. They're very simple to maintain, really, yourself, and all they actually really want is to be cleaned out, oiled, and lubed, and they will run for you,
and
they're sound,
and
used.
Yeah,
they want to be used. Don't set them up on a shelf just to look at them. They're pretty, but they want to be useful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
and the more you use it, probably, and the more consistently you use it, I would imagine, the better.
Yep. They like it. They like it. Well, it's just like me. If you sit too long, you get rusty when you try to get up and move. So there you go.
Let's show some.
Yeah.
Let's show some. We have some beautiful machines to show you.
So we're going to start with this machine and the box, and so you can kind of see where or what. Because honestly, when you go to like a thrift store sometimes, you'll see a box like this in the corner, and you're like, what is that?
Ooh.
So for
and
me,
if you're lucky, they don't know what it is either.
Right, right.
So you get the box, and the box, some of them come with trays, some of them don't.
The older ones have trays.
Yeah, and so, and it has,
compartments,
accessories and compartments and all kinds. Your pedal will fit. I actually have one where the pedal sits up here.
Yes, that's the newer case.
So, and actually, one of the things that goes wrong with these are these latches break.
Or the handles.
Break. And so they're repairable. I've actually repaired a few of them just because I wanted cases with mine. And then the machine fits in there pretty dang nice, pretty tight.
Yes. Make sure you put it in the right way.
Yes,
there is a right and a wrong way.
There is. And or even this, like this slides over the top of the bobbin and the stuff and has a spot for this and has a spot for that.
Where your spool
sits. So
up.
I mean, it basically sits like that in the box, which is kind of cool. But again, some of them you find without boxes because
the boxes the boxes are glued together, as we said, with horse glue. And sometimes they can be pretty smelly.
Yeah, some of them get musty.
Real gross.
Well, and it depends on how it was stored. If it was stored in a basement, or it was stored in an attic, or it was stored where it got wet or hot, they get kind of funky. And so this is just a standard, this is your standard machine. There's lots of different ways. This one actually has the older plate. So this is an older.
Yes, it does. Turn that one around
so
they can see this beautiful face.
This has the
pick that one up just
scrolled,
a little bit. Yep.
So it has the scrolled facing, which is the older style.
Yep, you can see that.
So I'm going to take this from you for a second. And Miss Liz, I want you to go on your computer there, and I want you to just type in dating a singer featherweight. Make sure you put featherweight, otherwise you're going to come up with how you might. Yeah.
We don't want no dating sites.
We don't want to date. We don't need a dating site.
Okay.
Did you get it up?
Yep.
Okay, I want you to now go in there. Did you click on it? So it's showing you dates?
Yeah.
Okay, please tell me AE4204.
I gotta go down.
AE420415.
March 1937.
Okay.
And there was 15,000.
15,000 of these little models made during that. Okay, so let me just show you here.
Yeah.
You hold that, sir.
I will.
Okay, so where we were coming from, see this little plate that's right here on the bottom of your machine. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have some of the first ones, there actually was a little metal plate down in the machine that had a number on it. Most of them probably that we're going to see are up here. But if you flip your machine over, you look at those numbers, go ask the Google.
Ask the
Hey,
Googles.
Google, but make sure you ask the Google to date a singer featherweight.
Unless
you want a dating site, then of course go for it.
Then
you're not going to know how old your machine is,
knows?
but you might find some interesting things.
Right.
So that is how you're going to date your little lady that you may have.
Yeah.
But one clue that it's a bit older is this end plate.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, well, yes and no.
Yeah, because it is removable
yes and, no.
it can be swapped.
Yes, it can. And
pretty
sometimes
quickly.
people get a little tricky on that when you're buying. So there are lots of places that you can purchase featherweights from. There's eBay, there's the Goodwill, there's our friends at Featherweight Shop.
Featherweight Shop has them for sale. They have used ones, and they have
KSL.
Yeah.
Or your
Yard
local
sales.
classified yard sales, thrift stores. I mean, there's lots of places that you still might be able to find one of the 3.3 to 3.5 million machines.
Right. Yeah.
So they are still out there.
They're still out there, and they're still. And again, it depends. Like this one, you can tell this one was used, which is good.
Yeah,
like if you look at the face of it, it's definitely been sewed on, so you can see where the decals have kind of been worn off, which is fine. In this machine, I got this one. This was the one I picked up that the motor was struggling.
Oh, okay.
And so again, I took the belt off. And I plugged it in, and I had to kind of spin the motor a little bit at first, and then I ran it for about 20, 30 seconds, a high speed, and
nice.
then I put the belt back on, and it starts on its own, and it sews, and it does, and it's pretty awesome machine. Now I do a few things. The LED light.
Yeah, do that. Change.
Yeah,
do
if you like
to be burned, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you like getting burned,
heat.
if you like heat, if you don't like being able to see where you're doing,
right, that too.
But that LED light's one thing that I do that just I feel like it's a pretty easy, quick swap. They are kind of a pain in the butt. The lights.
Remember the tubing.
Yeah.
So you can go to a hardware store, and I did not bring that with me.
That's okay.
But it's just a little piece of plastic tubing. You get that tubing, and then you just score it in several places so that it opens up at the beginning of it. You push that in on there. Now you have to turn it counterclockwise to get it out. But it's a real tight area up in there. So to get your fingers in there,
it's hard.
It's really hard. And be real careful. I've had some machines that I've got that people have been a little rough with them, and they have actually broken the light socket off up into it. And then you have to take this whole light part off to get it out.
Get some pliers.
It gets real tricky. But yeah, LED lights are an amazing.
I thought that was one thing that I was like, that's just a good idea.
That is a great idea.
It's like an old car.
And it's
put
pretty inexpensive upgrade, right?
Yeah, they're not bad. Maybe $10, $12 at the most,
something
probably.
Like that.
Yeah, so and it's worth it. I don't care if it's even $20. That's
a big, especially if you're planning to sell on it.
Yes.
Okay, a couple things. Kay says, hi, Fran. I'm not so sure how to spell her or say her last name. Gruis.
Kay Gruis. Oh, that's my sweet Kay. How are you, Miss Kay? Hi.
And Erin says she needs her lifesaver back because her light is loose again.
You gave her a lifesaver?
No, somehow her light is not working, but she just propped a lifesaver back there. And it started working. So then Ken helped her figure it out during the class, and then it came loose again. And so now she's got, I think she might have a Wonder Clip back there now.
You want to go with yours, or do you want to go with?
Sure. Go with the red one. We're going to show this. This is, and I should have looked up her date.
I can do it.
Because, okay, let's just look up and see when she is, because she is an AD. Now, ADs are the first ones they did, but she is not one of the first ones. She's 726774.
726. So she's 34.
So she's a 1934 machine. So this little lady, what I wanted to now, okay, this is not the color she came as. No.
You had one option. It was
black at that time, but. We all know red's my favorite color, and okay. So here's what I'm going to say about painting machines. If you have a machine that is in good shape, please don't paint her.
Right.
Leave her alone.
Yeah.
She was very sad. This little lady was very, very sad. And so I said, I want to be able to sew on this machine and use it. as it sat, I couldn't. So I did have her painted. But what I really wanted to show you on there, see the bell that's on the front?
Yeah.
They had that bell on there for the first few machines that they made, and then they changed and they took them off. And she has the beautiful scroll on her faceplate as well.
Well, and they changed also the wheel. Some of them were chrome, and some of them were painted. And so that's a thing.
Yes, yeah, the first ones were chrome. Yeah. And then a little later on they
they changed the needle plate. Like this one's plain.
Yes.
And then later on they put markings so you could sew your quarter-inch or your seam allowances.
Yes. So this is Lady Ruby.
Yeah.
She got to come today.
She's pretty awesome.
She's pretty awesome. She is pretty awesome. Also, another thing on the back of the motors, they didn't do it right at the very beginning, but soon after that, on the older ones, they started putting little tiny numbers on them. Right. That the first one said 700s. And then after that, they changed, and they have different numbers on here, and depending on where they were made, like some of them were Canada, some of them were United States, so some of them were Scotland, they were made all over the place. So some of them had different numbers on them, on their motors. So that's another good way to know if the machine you're getting is kind of original to what the machine is.
And we talked about this before. Also, a lot of these machines were built for the UK and other things. And so the motor, like if you buy it off eBay, you can buy one from the UK or from other places, but the motor is going to be a different motor.
220.
It's going to be a 220,
and you can't run it here.
And your pedal will be a 220, and you won't be able to plug it in even because it's going to have a different plug.
You're going to have trouble.
Even if somebody rewired it, if you didn't do it right, you would have issues. Yes. So those are things you do have to consider and think about. So this is the one I bought, and this was my first painted one, but I didn't paint this one.
See, pretty.
So I actually bought this one off eBay just as a whole. So it was just the pink body of it, and
so you put the motor.
I put the motor and all. So I had another machine that was really rough, like it was, and actually the base of it was bent. And I don't know how that happened in its lifetime.
Fell off the back of the truck.
Something. So it was
Something
bent,
bad happened.
and so I didn't feel too bad about scavenging parts, and so I call this one the Pink Panther.
Ooh,
because it's pink. And
my
mom's already kind of claimed this one.
Oh, this is Mama's.
So anyway, and it has. So this is the different plate.
Yeah.
So this
and
is
that
the
called a straight
edges or something like that. Striated something.
Yeah, something like that.
And this one I've actually. I mean, I've done a lot to this one, which is not necessarily stock. It's a hot rod. It's a hot rod.
It's a hot rod. And so here's the neat thing, though, that he did. He brought it back to life, and now it can be used again, which is what it wanted to do in the first place. Yeah. The other one had ended its life, but it had organs to donate. It had stuff to donate. It had stuff to donate. So this one really only got to come as well because it's also a painted one. It did not come like this. But the reason I brought this one also was just to show the different face plates.
Which, if you own this machine and you want to take it off, it's seriously just
easy.
Super quick. Yep. And this one actually has the plate that has the lines on it, which is really cool.
It's kind of nice.
And this is a nice machine too.
She's nice.
And this is a 21.
It is.
But it has so you'll see this throws people off too. So they've got there's centennials. There's all kinds of different things, and then some of them will have a little number underneath, and some of them don't. And so people are always like, "Why does mine not have that?" Or "Why is mine different than yours?" And it's just where they were manufactured, and you know what they were made when. So So then, go ahead.
So Singer actually made the black machines the first one was commissioned in 1933. And they finished making the very last one that they did was in 1961. No.
Yeah, 61 was the last.
61 was the last blacks.
Yeah.
Black ones that they did. And then, but But that was in the United States. But they did continue to make the black ones in Quebec and Scotland until 69. So you very well could still have a black featherweight that has a later date on it.
Right.
And it still truly is a featherweight. Yep. It just wasn't made in the U.S.
In the U.S. or for the U.S.
Or for the U.S.
Do you want to go to that
yes.
one?
Sure. Let's go to the next one.
Do you want to go to that one, or do you want to go to
let's go to the colored ones.
Okay.
Let's do the colored ones next. So from 1961 to 1969, Singer decided, well, we're really not done with these beautiful little machines. So let's throw something else fun in the mix. Let's make some colored ones.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about the colored ones.
Okay, so they actually, this was supposed to be a pearl white, but there's theories and stories and all kinds of things. One of the things that's a little different about these, so the length of the table is different on this one.
And she's shorter.
This one was more, so this was the economy featherweights, which people really, really like, but they're economy featherweights because they've got those, all the ones we've shown you before are gear drives. So they're a gear-to-gear, if you know cars, like a differential, they change the speed, direction, and things like that with that. This one actually is a belt drive. So you've got the external belt, and you have an internal belt that's a geared belt that drives these machines, which was one of their money savers. They also, like I said, the table on these, so you can, the white one itself,
she's just
is
short.
short. I mean,
You
comparatively.
can tell. Well, and I
Yeah, you can
get
tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
And they painted them white. And there's the one book that I brought, she actually calls this one Salary, which is probably more, because it does have a green hue.
It does. It does.
It's not pearl white. It's greenish hue. And this...
I have seen these, though, in different shades. Like, I've even seen some that you really could call white.
White, yeah.
Not white like we know, but much
Like a
much
creamy
lighter.
white.
Yeah,
Right.
much
Creamy
much
white.
lighter than my little one.
Right.
She
And so,
definitely is
and
a
if you
celery.
get one of these and you're like, wow, that's not really clean. It's not really that it's clean. It's just the way the paint came out on these machines in those different
They
years.
got a little different color batch that time.
Different hue of paint, which is kind of cool. These ones, this one, the white one, another way they saved money was they did not have a plug. They had, it was wired solid,
right
which I kind of like to have it be unplugged. Like on my workbench, I just have one that's I can plug in and I can run the machine and I can unplug it and put it over with its pedal and I use a different pedal. I use a more modern pedal. Again, you can get it off Amazon because the featherweight pedal has like a button. It's a tiny button you have to push instead of like a pedal.
Yes, and it's I have to do it barefoot.
Right, and they
make big feet.
They make a board,
which is cool.
which is really cool. That holds it, and so there's. I mean, there's again as you get into these, you learn the knowledge gets bigger.
Yes.
So that was another money saver. Is they didn't necessarily want to have a plug and a separate all the things, so they wired it together. Which again doesn't make them necessarily. They're not as. I guess they're desirable because they're rarer. But when you probably as practicality goes, I think, well, and like you talked about the bell, this one just has a little hook, a little S hook instead of even a thread bobbin piece, which is probably, I mean, I don't know, here or there.
So Singer Company was kind of changing gears and kind of doing, you know, by this time, I mean, they well, you can still buy a Singer today, although I probably really wouldn't.
Like a brand new one made in 2023.
You don't.
Yeah.
Just say no. The old ones, run, grab all you can. But yeah.
So and the switch is different. This one has a different switch on it. So I mean, again, they're just little things they did to make them. And then the probably even rarer is the tan, which that was actually meant to be tan. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't like they painted white and it turned out this color. But the tan one, again. So if you look at the end of this, so they went away from the scrolling or even the flat, and they actually have a little bit of a cone to them for the aesthetic, or I don't know. It's just kind of it's just different, and it's just a stamped piece instead of like a machined piece, which again is probably for cost productivity. So this one actually is the 221J. So is this one a K?
I think she is.
I think they are.
She's
So I think the white one was
221K.
221K, 221J, 221.
They knew their alphabet.
They were working on it. They were working. So those, and then we have one more that's kind of a unicorn, which this one was built in Quebec and Scotland, and I believe never for the market in the U.S. This is the 222.
This is a 222, and so they did this one. I thought I wrote that down on here. 1953.
Oh, it's 53.
It was a 53. They came out with them, and they were not intended for the U.S. market, and they continued producing these until 1961. So these are kind of cool because you can remove this whole. Can you slide that one off of there?
Yeah, maybe.
Is
there a lot?
There is. I'm just trying to remember where it is on here. Let's see. Flip him over. Let's see what this underside looks like. There is someplace. There's a little latch that you. No, I don't remember. There is a latch that you have to.
Is it a latch or is that a screw? I haven't seen one of these, so this is my first.
We'll have to play around with it because I have not actually used this machine yet because it still has a 222 motor in it.
Which is the two.
Oh! You know what? Here,
okay.
It's right here. I remember. It's right here.
Okay.
You have to
unscrew it.
Is it unscrewed or is it pushed down or is it what is it? Let me think. I think.
There you go.
There you go.
That's what's attached underneath. I saw
that.
the screw.
Yeah,
for that. Okay.
The back side of it.
There you go. We know what we're doing.
Well, we don't really. And like I said, I haven't sewn and played around with this one yet because it does still have the.
So this is called a free arm.
Free arm.
And they made this for people that really did a lot of
garment sewing.
Yes, because then you could get your sleeve in there, or you could get a sewing thing there.
Or...
Where if you've got this on there, it's a little difficult to do that on this machine. So that's how the 222s came about. And one of these minutes, I will get her motor and her foot control traded out so that I can actually play around with her because she's such a pretty machine. She's really pretty.
Really cool. And this is, like I said, this one's pretty rare, again, in the U.S. because they were like, you guys don't need them.
You don't need those. You guys don't do any sewing, which is so silly.
Sewers.
I think, let's talk about this for just a second.
Okay.
So a lot of people make these just little, they call them featherweight doilies.
Yeah.
And they're just to protect your paint.
Correct? They are. So if you don't have one of these cute little things, which Featherweight Shop has them, you can buy them from them. Or if you have a good friend that makes them, or maybe you want to learn how to make them.
Yeah, that's a perfect, cute little crochet project.
They're quick to make. So if you don't have something like that on the top, there are little felt discs.
Yeah.
Make sure. Yeah, here we go. Yes. Okay. Make sure that you at least have that underneath so that your spools, as they're spinning around, they're going to be wearing on the top of your machine and they're going to start to wear on that paint. Right. So do have something up there like that. Another thing that's really a good thing to have, and I don't have one on mine because they pop off, it's a spring. Do you have a spring on yours? I only have one on. Okay, so it's just a little spring that you can get that goes on here because a lot of times your thread wants to kind of wiggle woggle up here on your thread holder, and if you put that little spring on there, that kind of helps keep that
thread
a little bit better. Yes. Again, Featherweight Shop, I'm sure, has that. Featherweight Shop has everything. They really do.
They do run out of some stuff.
They do, but they get it back in fairly quickly. And they also do. They have it's stuff. They do also have original parts, and they do have remanufactured parts,
like screws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of the screws, I mean, depending, like this screw sometimes gets messed up because they tighten them down too tight, the screw, I actually had to buy a couple screws for the motors because I bought a couple that did not have motors, and then I bought motors, and you have to buy the screw with the motors.
Yes, you do. So all kinds of replacement parts. So if you get a machine that's not running top flight,
or if you wanted to play with them like I do,
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. There you
They're parts.
Like yes, there are parts that you can get them repaired.
So Fran does teach a class. We've alluded to that a couple of times, and we are scheduling our next class very soon. So we will let you know when we schedule that. Now I'm not in frame.
Oh, get in the frame. Get on over here,
so
girl.
we will let you know for sure as soon as our next class. We're working on our next round of classes to be released here really shortly.
Yes.
So come take a class. Come learn. If you have one and you're even remotely interested in, saving it and keeping it in working order, please come to Fran's class. It's amazing. She keeps it pretty small so that she can really help you.
Yep.
And it's a great resource. And these books are great resources as well. We'll link these as well. But we've got some tools for you. Now, some people, so I want one, but I really don't plan on sewing on it daily. I might sew on it occasionally, but that's not my goal. My goal is more of a collector item for me. But then, there's people like Erin or Pat who just love to sew on them every day and we had a couple other ladies. I'm trying to remember the sisters from Corinne.
Sue and Cynthia.
And they brought their Featherweights to the last class that I went to with them. And so they are good machines, and save them. If you see them in grandma's closet, if you see them places, they're going to get harder and harder to find because people don't know what they are. And I'm thinking that's why some of them have lost boxes. Is because grandma might have had them stored separately and they found the machine, but then they didn't find the box, and then they're like, what's this?
And the boxes fall apart.
Yeah,
they do fall apart too. So you
and there are people who make boxes that you can get, and they're replacement.
Ken's actually found that at DI, if he finds typewriter boxes, the typewriter boxes work pretty well
Some
too.
of them, not all of them.
Nice.
But then that's kind of vintage. It's not original to the machine.
Right.
But
it's better than nothing because you need to have some protection.
So, again, Featherweight Shop, they make a really nice padded carry bag.
Yep, they do.
For your machine.
Like a canvas bag, kind of.
Yeah, and those are very nice. Now, I will say this for your original boxes. Don't carry them by the handle.
Yeah.
The bottoms can fall out.
They can. And then the machine,
and the handles
falls
off.
out.
That may have been how one of mine got bent. It may have fallen through and...
So what I always say is if I am taking my machine someplace in the box, I will carry it from down underneath. I will hold it from down underneath.
And they're not too heavy that you can't do that.
No,
So
they're really not.
Light, so.
They're really light. So, well,
okay. That was super fun.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
joining us.
Thank you.
Joining us. We appreciate that. See,
and he has to go back to his real job here really
I'm
soon.
so sorry.
Moment of silence. School starts soon.
School does. It will happen. So thank you so much for being our special guest today. We've enjoyed it, and thanks for all of your knowledge and information on this. It's been fun.
We hope you've had fun.
You did. We hope.
And thanks to those of you who have commented and joined. And we've got 13 people watching, so that's exciting.
Nice.
So, thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.
Our last announcement is about our yard sale.
Yes.
We'll be reminding you every week until it comes.
We will.
September 16th, it's a Saturday, 9 to noon.
Yes.
Come shop.
Yes.
If you have donations of things that you would like to donate, now remember all the proceeds go to our Brigham City Museum for their quilt show.
Yes, which is going on right now. If you haven't been yet, go see it. You need to go see it.
We've been out of town for 3 weeks.
You should go today.
We'll see.
It's nice.
But bring those.
I will say, this is going to be our last one that I will have for them. We'll do a donation to them in the future. It's getting harder and harder to really pull this off. So we will do it this one last time. We would love to have everyone donate. Please make sure that they are quilting items and items that you maybe not have a use for anymore, but good quality. We'd like to make this a really huge last year for our museum. So we will be accepting donations for the museum's yard sale Friday afternoon,
just the day
about
before
4 o'clock. I don't have a place.
We don't have
really
space to hold it all.
I really don't. So, what we do here at the store is we have everybody bring their stuff, and then my amazing staff donates their time, and we come Friday night. We sort, we get everything all ready to put out Saturday morning. And then my amazing friends.
Been here, done that.
They come Saturday morning and they help us set up the pop-ups and the tables and get everything out there. So we hope that you will join us again for this because it is a lot of fun. And it's for such a good cause. The museum every year, they do the most amazing quilt shows. And they're not just local quilt guilds. They're quilts from all over the world.
And they're truly art quilts, and they're amazing.
They're really nice. Yeah. So please come and join and support us.
And we'll keep reminding you, but put it on your calendar, September 16th.
Yes, please.
So
yes,
9
please.
to noon. Come enjoy and support. Mm-hmm. So,
please.
Well, we're excited to be back in the normal
location.
We are again. We're together.
We're together. Yay!
So it's going to be good. And we will be back next week with another Village Vibes at 9:30.
We will. Thank you all so much for joining us. Take care of yourselves, each other, and be kind. Do one nice thing a day, just one. Smile. If you're walking down the street, smile at someone and say hi. It makes a big difference.
I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, smile at somebody in the hall. It'll freak them out.
Really? It really does. Oh, what are you up to? What do you want, right?
Hey, you know,
well, these high school kids.
They're weirdos. So.
Thank you again so much for joining us, folks, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.